Hey guys, I told you in the last video about this Telecaster that I may change the pickups and I may not. Well, I did, and here's how I did it. First, we've got to set the new humbucker bridge. Put the high and the low E string on and put it in place and measured where the string falls on the neck, marked it with a marker, and then we're going to drill the holes to mount it. Okay, I'm only going to mount the back two just in case we need to move it around. Now we're going to tune it up to E and see if we can intonate. You see the tape marks on the body. I put those on before I took the old bridge off. That lines up where the saddle pieces were. Very technical. Here we're going to just set the intonation. Here's setting the intonation on the high E. If you can set the intonation on both of these strings, then the bridge is in the right place. This one buzzed a little, had to lift it up. And they both did intonate, worked out perfect. So then we're gonna finish drilling the other 3 holes. Cut these off. That's all we needed those strings for. Cut them off now, take the saddles off, get them out of the way, and we can drill the rest of the mounting holes. And here I am marking the string through the body locations. You have to take the bridge off. Just testing it again just to make sure. Now marking where the humbucker is going to be cut out. Here we're marking the battery box for the active pickups. They need a 9-volt. And drilling the mounting holes for that. Okay, first we're going to drill through for the strings to go through the body from the back. This will go on the back side. You put the strings through it and they'll come up through here into the bridge. I've never had a string through body guitar, so we're going to make this one. Again, I am not a guitar builder. I do not have a drill press for this. We are just going to hand drill it. That did not come out horrible. It will all be covered anyway. We're going to Dremel that out to where this goes in flat. Okay, we are about to make a huge mess, so I will try to vacuum as I work the Dremel. And there we go. Just need to clean it up, drill the mounting holes, put those screws in there. I like the bezel look. I did buy the individual ferrules, but there was no way I was going to get that right. So I decided to get this, and I didn't get it right either. There's a little mess up here and here, but it's not horrible. It's doable, and it's going to work out just fine. Okay, now we are going to work on doing the battery box. I think what we're going to do first is score the outer edges with a Dremel cutoff wheel, and that will reduce the risk of splinters when I'm routing it. Then we will probably drill the edges and maybe drill out some of the middle too, so there's less material I have to take out with the Dremel. I should have not done this. Let me just say that for the record. I'm trying to get this done before tomorrow. Okay, here we go. Again, I'm going to score the outer edge. That'll reduce the risk of the paint splintering up like you saw here. And okay, here we go. Oh yeah, I need the vacuum. I don't want to make that much dust in here. Okay, like I said, I think I'm going to get some paddle bits out and drill so I don't have so much material to remove with the Dremel. All right, a test fit. Okay, we are wide enough and long enough. Now we just need to keep going until we're deep enough. Now what I'm doing here is setting the depth of my bit to the depth of the battery box. And once I get to that depth on the edge here, that means I'm there. I don't need to go any more. Now I will be going into the cavity of the jack, which is fine because that's where the wire is going to go through and into the body cavity. So we just need to Dremel that depth all the way around and up the middle. We'll be done. I will get a glove on because holding it the way I am, all the heat's coming out of here and really starts to get hot. So I'll be right back. All right, here we go. Glove is on, depth is set. Suction, let's go. Okay, we are routed. All right, wire it up. All right, there we go. Battery box. Open it up. battery in there, close it. This wire is going to go into the cavity, and the back is done. We've got the string through and the battery box. Now we can flip it over and work on the pickup. Okay, we've got a little bit to do on the front. Bridge pickup, little in the back corner, little more in the front corner, and then the little mounting tabs here for the pickup have to be very precise here, because the bridge does not come out too far. Of course, I don't want to go past the bridge, then the hole will be seen. So I'll cut just a little bit at a time on there. Let's get going. This part was done to show you guys that it's real easy to let this Dremel, when you're working with it with one hand, to catch and get out of hand. That was done for educational purpose. That's right. Yeah, I didn't mess up. I didn't mess it up accidentally at all. That was just done for educational purposes. I wasn't running the camera though. Wish I would have been. But that will be covered by the pick guard. We're going to have this big old pick guard here. That's not going to bother me at all. Let's see if we need to do any more on the rear cavity. Okay, so we've got it routed out. Like I told you earlier about going wide, this side chipped. Not when I was using the Dremel here, but when I had the pickup there and I used my screwdriver to scar where I needed to cut, apparently that had separated already from the wood, and when I scarred it that way, a blue chip came up. This side I did get a little close, and it does show. This thing is not going to be perfect, but hopefully it sounds and plays well. I already know it plays well, so hopefully the sound is there as well. But it is what it is. It'll just be some character. Maybe I'll figure out someday how to cover that with maybe they make a bezel for this. I don't know. We'll see. On to the front one. Okay, everything is routed. I took it outside to do this front one, so I didn't have to use the vacuum cleaner. Here we are. We're going to mount the things that need to be in place, and then we are going to try to put the pick guard in place and cut that, because this is not fitting where it should fit. So we're going to have to cut this out for that bridge. I don't know if I'm upset yet about going outside of it right here. Maybe there's a way to cover that. I don't know how I feel about that yet. It's not a perfect guitar. It was never going to be a perfect guitar. So maybe at this point, I just relic the thing and make it not perfect. I don't know. We'll see. See, I don't like the way this was fitting. So I mounted this. Now I'm going to make it fit in the right place here, so this gap is better. And I'm going to have to re-drill some holes. There's one or two that are, or three, that are where they need to be. I'll have to re-drill a few of them and then figure out how to cut that. Now, obviously, I'm not going to drill all these new holes until I get this fitting where I want it to. I think we're just going to use a Dremel and a cutoff tool for this. This looks good here. I usually like it up against the neck here, but then that makes this gap a little weird. So I don't know what I want to do. Maybe split the difference there. But either way, I've got to cut this a little wider and then cut this along here. So I'll get the Dremel. I'll work on the width first. Then we'll work on this line here. What the f? Just well, you saw the wheel just broke apart when I was trying to cut this, and it chipped the guitar right there. So I don't know what to do anymore. I guess now we just relic the guitar. They do make a pick guard that kind of covers all of this. I have a separate bridge that I could put. I don't like it. I believe this pick guard kind of is the style of the Telecaster, but they have one that kind of comes out here and kind of covers it would cover this. I'd have to put a separate bridge, which I already have, and it would probably cover that too. I don't want to go that route. Oh man. Yep, this might just end up being a relic guitar, and or just more character. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Let's get back to this, but now I know don't do that in front of the guitar. So I'm going to go over here off camera and cut this, see what happens. Okay, we've got the width cut where I need it. I'm going to mark the line here with some tape, so I'll cut a straight line. We'll start there, and we'll cut more if we need to. We need a little bit more. We're going to move the tape. And I have not taken off the protective layer of plastic yet. I'll get a fresh piece of tape. We will make another cut, just a little at a time. All right, let's test that. All right, we are in place. This gap, I don't know if I can get it any better than that. I mean, I could probably move it back a little bit more, but what good is that really gonna do? It's gonna create a gap here. I think we're probably done. Peel that off. There's another layer of plastic on here. I'm going to file that down, make that edge a little bit prettier. Okay, I've got this gap where I like it. Got this one where I like it. It's kind of, you know, make it better here, but it'll make it worse over here. And so we're just going to put it where it's overall a good place and go with that. So now what I need to do, these EMG actives have plugs on the end of the wires, pretty big plugs. So I need to make sure they'll fit in all the holes that are there to run the wires through. Probably will need to cut one here from this cavity to here. There's no way that plug will fit in this here. So what I'll probably do is actually channel out a big section here, leave the, maybe stop about right here. Let me put that mark now. Stop about there. That way it's still under the pick guard. I'll cut out a channel here right on top, just cut all this blue out, and then finish the hole, because I'll be able to get a drill bit in that pointed. So it'll all be covered. You won't see it in this gap here. And we'll have our wires done. We've got our little cavity for our wire cut out. It doesn't need to be deep, just deep enough for the wire to fit in there. Didn't need to be that wide either, but did it. Now we can drill from here into this cavity. We're going to start off a little hole there, turn it, and go to that angle. Just like that. Now our wire will be able to go through here with the plugs into this cavity, and then also through here into this cavity, just like that. If you don't know, the EMG actives require the battery. That's why I had to put the battery pack on the back. They're not like a traditional pickup. They do need power since they are active. That's what all these wires are for. And they use plugs for everything. That will plug into that one instead of wiring and soldering. Even the knobs have plugs on them. And the switch as well, also plugs. So we can wire this guitar with absolutely no soldering iron. Well, we do have to solder the wires onto the output jack, which in this case uses a tip ring and sleeve, which acts as the on-off switch. If you leave the jack plugged in on an active pickup guitar, you're draining your battery, because this, when you unplug it, that's what turns off the power. So that's really the only soldering we will have to do. I'm going to get, I think we're done with the woodworking part of the operation. I'm going to get this table cleaned up, put some tools away that we don't need anymore, and then get to mounting and wiring this up. Before we put the woodworking tools away, I'm going to mount the switch and the volume and tone knobs. Mount it in there because I might need to make this cavity deeper. With the other switch, with the regular pickups, the switch was up against the bottom. It bent all the prongs. That's how shallow it was. So we're going to check that before we put away all the woodworking tools. Okay, so good thing we checked this, because see how deep that switch is? It does not go in, and I don't want to crush these terminals. Even though they're not used, I still don't want to crush them. On here, we're going to use all the plugs here. So I'm going to mark that and go take it outside again and route that a little bit deeper. Hey guys, so we've got the depth good, fits in there. Now to get it in place though, these prongs are actually pushing up against the side here. So I'm going to make this side cavity a little bit deeper. I'm not going to make it deep all the way to the top. So in other words, I'm not making this wider. I'm going to go in and then start carving out. This doesn't really come all the way to the top, so it won't matter. So I'll have to put it in there and then pull it over into place, and all the plugs will be fine. So we're going to do that right now. Okay, that's perfect. Fits right over the mounting holes, and I don't have to force it into place. That's going to work out just great. We may have to make adjustments once the plugs are on. You know what? Let me put the plugs on. I can do that. And we'll see what happens there. Let's see. Neck pickup. Black, white, and red. Don't really need to put the exact one. So let's just plug some in. Get some plugs in there and see what happens. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell to let you know when new videos are live. Yeah, that's going to work just fine. Great, we are done with routing. We are done with woodworking. The only other thing I need to do is once I get the pickup in place, I just drill a couple holes, but that's not going to be a huge deal. So I'm going to clean up the work area, reorganize, get into wiring mode, and go from there. Okay, cleaned up the workspace. Actually took that time to go eat dinner as well. So changed clothing, took a shower. Here is the wiring diagram for the EMGs. Looks like it's simple enough. I may have to do some soldering because the battery connection that I used is different plugs than the one that comes with it. Probably cut this positive free at least and solder it to this positive so I can have the right connector for that. But we're just going to follow this and move right along. At this point, we're going to at least plug in the pickups and put them in place. I may put one screw in just to hold it there. Maybe not. Guess I don't need to. Now, when you're using active pickups, you don't need a ground wire going to your bridge. So we're not going to run that. Let's put a towel over this so I don't scratch it more than it already is. We're going to tape this part so we don't scratch it. Good idea. So here's our volume, here's our tone, here's our switch. According to the paper, we go from the master volume, which according to this is the middle, goes over to the tone. From here, it'll go to the output jack, which we're going to have to solder that. Now, coming in from the battery, I'm going to cut this one off and solder it to the one that comes from the battery. It has the wrong plug, so we're going to put the right plug on it. Like I told you earlier, it uses the output jack as the off and on switch to turn the battery off and on. So this negative from the battery case goes to the ring on the stereo jack. Okay, we are soldered to our ring. Now our output, I think what I'm going to do is disconnect it from here, cut this plug off this end, because that's what we need to solder to the jack. This goes to the sleeve. And the white goes to the tip. Okay, and that is all the soldering it takes on these EMG installs. So now we're going to put the black jack plate on here. I don't remember that being there. Huh, I wonder what happened. I see what happened. This blue chip is stuck to the tape. Look at that. It must have been cracked just because it was next to a hole. All right, that's okay. That's all right, that's all right. Okay, so let's get to hooking up. The red goes there. And this is coming from the jack as well. So it's our output to our tone. Ground on the left. Dang, it's going to be hard to see what I'm doing here. Well, maybe not. Here we go. No, that's not hard at all. Okay, this is the neck pickup. Black, white, and the red. This is the bridge pickup. Black, white, and red right here. Then we need our out jumper. So we go out from here, black, white, and into our volume. All right, let's see if we can get all these wires in this cavity. Might be hard to do because I can't have any right under the switch. I would like some black screws for this, for the switch mount, but it's not completely necessary. All right, it's only silver screws on the entire thing, so I don't know. Now, one thing I don't know is which way this switch works. Is this position this pickup? And is this position this pickup? I don't know. So we might have to end up taking this off and turning that switch around and remounting it. But we'll get to that if we need to. Yeah, I was thinking maybe I really don't want to put a different pick guard on here. I really think the Telecaster look is this pick guard. That's what makes it for me. So I think we might have to get creative with some kind of bezel around this. Very thin, like paper thin metal, painted black. Make it a real nice edge. Just enough to cover just a little bit around this whole bridge. I don't expect it to be perfect, but those were pretty bad mess ups. And look, listen, honestly, if I would have been taking my time, maybe that wouldn't have happened. I could have taken precautions, laid out some tape. But here's my issue. It's Friday evening, and I want to play this guitar tomorrow night at a get-together we're having. And I'm not going to lie, I rushed it. I rushed through this. I probably cut some corners I normally would not have. And I guess I'm paying the price for it with paint chips. But at least I'll have my guitar tomorrow night to play. So let's see where we're going to put this pick guard. I know this screw is going to line up. So I'm going to put that one in. Then we'll just kind of get this gap really nice. Get this gap nice. This gap is a little crooked, honestly. But there's no way we can get this straight and this straight at the same time. So we're just going to have to except where it falls, and drill a few mounting holes. Everything is mounted. I'm going to put the saddles on, put the strings on, do a little quick setup. I'm not going to leave the camera on for that. It's boring. But look at this. I'll put the strings on and turn the camera back on. Okay, the pickups are now installed. Strings are on, intonated, everything. Never had a string through the body, and it was pretty cool, I guess. Battery back here. The neck could use a little work. The action could use a little work. It's late. I just want to play it real quick. Might work on it tomorrow. Might just go play it. I don't know. It is a set of EMG 81 in the back and an 85 in the front. The wiring was real easy. Just the solder on the input jacks like you saw. I've never played through a set of these. I was just playing a little bit before I started the camera, and they're pretty hot. I'm using an amp modeler. It's a Pod X3 Live going into an ART 200 watt amp and into a 412 cabinet. Celestians in there. I don't remember which ones. There's two of a certain kind of Celestian, and then the top two are different kind. I don't remember what they are. I'm modeling a Soldano amplifier. Sounds good with the Stratocaster with the Bill Lawrence XL500. So I will probably set up a tone for this guitar. I've got tones set up for the Les Paul and the Pearly Gates. Probably go through each guitar and really just set up tones for each one of them and their particular pickups. But for testing purposes, we're going to use this one on the Soldano amps. So let's see what it sounds like. Here's our clean channel front pickup. Rear pickup. That's all for clean. Let's go dirty. Rear pickup, volume, tone all the way up. Front pickup. Just a little bit muddier, but I like this rear pickup. I like it a lot better than what was in here. Let's try some down tune. I'm in drop D. Yeah, it'll work. It'll do exactly what I need it to do. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the guitar content. I know it's mostly a car channel, but we like to do different things around here. But whatever you do, if it's a guitar or a car, just buckle up, put it in gear, and drive it.